Nerdy Dad Bodcast. My name's Levi Bullard, or Dad Bod on social media, and today we bring you the 11th episode, which is part of our How to Dungeon Master series, and that's what do you need to get started? And do you really need all three of those important books? Let's check it out. So, we all know that everybody says you need the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual, right? So, I don't necessarily believe you need all of those, but I will talk about what's in each of them, what you can find, what is useful, and what I think, so that you can take your own opinion and bring it, because that's what's important as a dungeon master, is that everything you do is going to be different from your friends who dungeon master. Everything you do is based off of your personality, your wants, and your likes. So you might find that you need one of these books that I don't think I need, or you might not need one of the books that I think is vitally important. That's why I want to lay it out in a way that's going to give you the information, and it's not going to be just purely my opinion. Now we're going to talk about the Player's Handbook, or the PHB, as you'll see it. The Player's Handbook essentially is most important for character creation and to know whether or not certain armors or your spells. Character creation and spells are the big point in this, realistically. It will show you all your information on all your major races, all your classes, tell you how to do each one of them, your different paths or your different subclasses. And once you get towards the back, it'll tell you how spellcasting works. In here, you'll find out how combat works. It's all your basic necessities, and I think this is a necessity to even play D&D. Now, you can find all of this stuff and all this information online, but with it being condensed into a single book, it's really, really helpful. And you'll find that I have multiple bookmarks that I use just to make sure I keep it. I try to have them tabbed. That way I can just go, okay, here's a bunch of feats. So if you wanted to be like, oh, what feats can I get since my stats are already where I want them? There's different things you can look at. And like I said, at the end, what I really like is spells. And it lists all the spells for all the spellcasting classes. And then actually gives you the spells and all the information about them. So, do I think the PHB or the Player's Handbook is important? Yes. Do I think you need it as a dungeon master? Yes. Everybody, I think, should have this book. And if you can't buy it at your local game store for the $50 price tag, I would suggest, this is not a sponsored video, go check out Target. Target usually sells them for about $27 to $34. The Dungeon Master Guide. Now, you might say, definitely needed. It's the guide for the Dungeon Master. To that, I rarely ever open this book. And that's because this book tells a lot of rules and stuff that can be kind of already understood or already known the way I see it. What I find useful in this book is a lot of the roll tables if you're into randomness. So right here, it's a shop. What kind of shop? You can roll a d20 and 11. So my shop is a smithy. What other kind of shop's going to be next to it? An 18? It's a rope maker. So you see, those are random things I wouldn't have thought. I mean, the smith, yeah, but I wouldn't have thought to add a rope maker into my town. But that's another building, another detail, another thing to kind of bring it to life. And heck, your players might just grab onto that. So if you want all these roll tables, I mean, treasure hoard for different CR ratings. This is all different treasure and how much. It tells you to go to what tables. It gives you magic items. So, I mean, it's definitely useful. But I think that it is an optional thing. And you don't really need the Dungeon Master Guide to start off as a Dungeon Master, to start playing as a Dungeon Master. So this one, we're going to say, if you have the extra money, go ahead and buy it. if you like randomness and you can't come up with a lot of things or for certain things in your world, but you really want them, then leave them up to chance. Buy this guide. Again, same rules for finances. Now, that brings us to the Monster Manual. Now, the Monster Manual is usually, for me, it's for prep only. I usually have all of the stat blocks for the monsters that I have either on stat cards or have them up on my computer. I find I don't usually look this up very much using the actual book, even though I do like the books more often. And that's just because it's not as convenient, I feel, until I do get it tabbed out and alphabetically. But it's really cool, has a lot of artwork, gives you a lot of information on the different monsters, different information about shadow dragons. It's stat block. Here's an adult blue Draco Lich. You can flip through. The dragons go on for a while. The Geth Yankee, the Geth Zerai, Hellhounds, and Helmed Horrors. It's got everything. Mind Flayers and Minotaurs. And then even just basic snakes and things like that, little beasts. And that one's very useful for your druids if you want to look into wild shaping and having the beast stat blocks. But this one is definitely more for prep. But I think it's something that is very useful because I don't like looking them up all the time, but they're easier to have in a tab. I think the Monster Manual is something you should definitely get. It should be the second, if not the third one you get. It's very helpful when it comes looking up specific attacks or what you want the creatures to do based off of how they would actually react or how they would act. Maybe you want to know some lore about the dragon before you add it into your world. So I would definitely say get your Monster Manual early. Keeping this a pretty short video, going over your 3 options. It's not the first one you should get, but definitely get your Monster Manual. If you like randomness and you don't, or it's hard for you to come up with certain things, get your Dungeon Master Guide, but I don't think it's needed. Not right off the bat. Player's Handbook, definitely get it. It's your number one. Get it. It has all the races, all the classes, all the spells, and I think that is some of the most information, or the basic information, because people forget that all the time. How many actions do I get? Do I get to move? Can I make an action and move? How does spellcasting work with a melee attack? Those are different things that are all answered in here. And look at that artwork! It's so cool. As some honorable mentions, the ones that I really like and I keep on hand here, I have Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. I love that one, especially if you're a dragon fanatic like I am. I have Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which is kind of like, I feel like another Dungeon Master's guide. It has a lot of roll tables, things like that. They both have a lot more information. And then one you might not have been aware of is Strongholds and Followers. You see how I have this one all tabbed out? It gives you rules for like army warfare, running your own keep, and strongholds, different things like that. And even has its own adventure here in the back, which is, it has new monsters and everything that have not been seen in D&D before. I mean, this one brings in different types of gem dragons that aren't your basic standard ones. It's just, this one is really, really cool. It's one outside the others. It really is. I mean, look at these stat blocks for these NPCs. Those are so cool. But yeah, by MCDM Productions, Strongholds and Followers. They also have a couple more books. Go check them out. No, this isn't sponsored, but I just fangirl over them. So, again, those are a few of the books that I think are necessities that's okay, you can wait off on using, because the things in them are not necessarily needed when you can make up 90% of your content, or you can just Google it off the fly. Hey Siri, how does this work? Hey Google, how does this work? I'm sorry if I just set off. Hey Alexa! I really hope that worked. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great time watching this. I hope it was informative at least. And if you guys need any more information, feel free to comment down below or on any of our social media. Again, it's DM Dad Bod. And until next time, what do you want to know about dungeon mastering? What could help you out the most?